welcome back to the waters of Leith. I am your GM Hedge, and our intrepid investigators are standing outside the home of Vanda Prentice, who was recently murdered. It is a small but fairly well looked after garden on a semi-detached two-storey house in one of the leafier suburbs of Edinburgh. And Rhodri, as you walk up to the door, an incredibly angry-looking Sergeant Nogacz is staring at you. And she just points at you, and then she just pulls her finger towards you in a come here motion.
And I do. I take in my most professional breath and then begin making my way over to her, trying not to show that I'm slightly nervous.
She takes you to one side slightly, just around the corner of the house. She says, Detective Cadwallader, when we brought in your Special Circumstances Department, I was under the impression that it would lead to less annoying magic shit in my investigations. And yet, Detective Cadwallader, once more, we seem to have a body, which means it's my responsibility, caught up in this magic shit. Detective Cadwallader, what the fuck?
Right, well, I completely understand where you're coming from, It probably seems a lot worse than it is, I think it's a bit like gardening.
They're dead, Cadwallader. It's about as bad as it gets.
You take over a new allotment and it's full of weeds, isn't it? But you've got to pull them out by the roots, and it's a bloody big job, much bigger than it looks on the surface, We're probably in that phase of things, I think, take a deep breath with me, Shall we do this? 3, breathe in. 2, 1. Hold it now, hold it.
She is staring at you, daggers in her eyes. Detective Cadwallader, you will solve this case within 24 hours. You will get your magic department out of my way, and you will stop appearing at my crime scenes, or we will begin to have a problem.
I think that seems...
And she just flicks to just dismiss you.
Very generous. Right, well, 24 hours, bugger. Better get a cup of coffee on the go then.
Speaking of, you are holding a cup of coffee given to you by John Beccatelli, DC.
Is Beccatelli next to me or are they elsewhere?
No, John is keeping his distance.
Probably just sipping it then. Slowly making my way back to... Is the body of Vanda Prentice still there?
The body of Vanda Prentice was found on the cycle path, the train track nearby. You are now at the house.
And am I right in thinking there was a safe?
Yes, let's actually cut to Lennox and Isabelle, who are inside examining this safe. This is probably a study. It is so well kept that it's fairly obvious that she probably keeps some kind of maid, because no one keeps a study this well kept with so many objects this spotless. It's not really possible. But what's probably more impressive is the size of the safe, hidden in 1920s style behind a large portrait picture. And it is open. And it is empty.
Well, it's a crime scene. We know the training. That means an initial vestigium assessment.
Yeah, IVA, please.
That's 12 out of 60. So that's a hard success.
So, bad news. There is definitively no more magic here than background Edinburgh. This is very much a place of peace and calm and leaves and gardens and children playing, all sitting in the background. Nothing else really disturbs it. This crime was done without magic.
Did you get anything there, Isabelle?
No, absolutely nothing, which suggests that this crime isn't anything to do with the ghost train. This crime is mundane. I'm still not happy about the fact that the two women look very similar to each other, but...
Hedge, if I have a look at the safe, I have a fair smattering of engineering. Can I work out how this was forced?
You could try your luck.
Okay.
to discover if you have some knowledge of lockpicking.
Was it picked or was it forced is my interest in here. So remind me, I need to roll a hard luck.
You need to roll a hard, probably dex.
Don't forget to spend your points of luck to try.
10 luck to try.
I will spend 10 lucks to try and roll my dexterity. So that takes me down to 39 luck. But my dexterity is 80, so I have a fair chance of getting a hard success here. Except I just rolled a 94.
That was tempting fate if ever I heard it.
And there's no way I could spend luck to make this a hard success, because I don't have enough.
Unfortunately, no. Give me your engineering roll and I'll give you some background stuff.
That is a 39, which is a regular engineering success.
This is a very good safe. It is not a safe that would obviously be easy to crack. It does not look like it was cracked. It looks like it was opened. You're not an expert. You could bring in someone from forensics or someone from the British Transport Police to confirm. But your assessment is this was not broken or cracked. This was opened with whatever code there was.
I'll pass this information on to Isabelle. But I do think it is worthwhile getting somebody in to have a look at this. We'll leave it to our forensics teams and hopefully get some answers. But it's strange that the safe was targeted, but there's a lot of expensive items around this room that haven't been touched. It looks like it very much was a targeted attack.
Give me an observation roll as you see that, Isabelle and Lennox. And actually, Rhodri, you walk in just as he's saying that. So you can have the observation too.
Okay.
Regular success, 53 under 60.
Oh, regular success 30 out of 30.
11 under 60. So that's a blooming marvellous success.
Yeah, I think Lennox and Isabelle are sort of looking around being like, there's quite a lot of stuff here, so probably this is all the valuable stuff. Probably nothing else was stolen apart from what was in the safe. And then Rhodri kind of walks in and does what he sometimes does, which is just sort of point at the couple of things which were probably holding something else. So there's a couple of displays which are empty, which look like they were small yet valuable things. It is not obvious, and that's distinctly important. It is not obvious, but probably some small expensive items were also pocketed.
You see those small displays there?
Aye.
Yes, sir.
What are they displaying?
Well, nothing. There's nothing there.
That's right, PC Gyle.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Glad we're on the same page.
Someone like this, they will have insured their items.
I was just going to say that, Lennox, yes.
If we get somebody onto that, we can find some answers there.
Have you got anybody in mind then?
I'm a police constable. It should fall to me, won't it?
Not necessarily. If this is a mundane crime and it's not British Transport Police, I mean, I suppose because the body was found on your patch, maybe.
This is separate, absolutely separate. I think, yep, we'll leave it to Police Scotland to sort out.
Isabelle, you call over Beccatelli.
This seems to be one of yours. It's not one of ours. I think it may just have been a coincidence that the victim is similar to one of ours and was found in a similar location. I don't suppose you could radio in and get someone to check her insurance details because it looks like there are a few things been taken besides the contents of the safe. Might be interesting for, the art squad to keep an eye out.
Normally, Joel would, of course, do you this solid, but someone pissed him off earlier this evening. So would you give me a social roll to see how willing he is to help?
I'll buy you a really big pint and a stiff whiskey chaser. 42 out of 60.
Right, go on then. I'll get it done. And you guys be on your way. I'll let you know if we find anything. Isabelle, could you get him out of here?
I will. I promise I'll get him out of here.
Nogacz is going to kill him.
I'm sure Leith's going to kill him first, but I'll see you in the pub later. I owe you. Thank you ever so much.
No worries. So the three of you make your way slightly confused away from this crime scene. It is late and it is dark. It is gone 10 o'clock now. It's probably time for you to get some shut-eye before heading off to this ghost train, if that's what you're going to try and do. Or if you really want to, you've probably got time to try and do something if it can be done late at night before that.
There's only really one thing that Isabelle wants to do, because she's still got this nagging doubt about the two women being very similar. She wants to look a little bit more, if she can, into this Victorian Nairn, the girl that's gone missing, because she's from a wealthy family.
Vanessa Nairn.
Vanessa Nairn.
Yeah, so that is JJ's case, your friend JJ. She will be on tonight.
I'll give JJ a buzz.
Oh, hi, Izzy. No, I can't do the pub tonight. I'm still on until 2.
Oh, well, we're going out at 4 for something, so that's fine. I completely understand. I mean, I do owe John a pint and a very large whiskey, but we can sort that out for tomorrow night. JJ, what do you know about this Vanessa Nairn case?
Oh, the missing girl.
Yeah.
Not a lot, to be honest with you. It's not particularly high priority. She's a university student. She's about, I think she was 21. Her parents reported her missing, and she's not been seen at school, but it's only been 72 hours, so we're not exactly lighting up the fires. We're just sort of making inquiries around. Why?
Oh, I've just got this nagging feeling that something's a bit strange. You know that murder victim that turned up in the early hours, the jogger, Sandra Logan?
Yeah?
Well, there's been another woman found in a similar area who looks very, very similar. Van der Prentice. Have you got a physical description for this girl?
Yeah, sure. She provides the description and then flicks over a picture as well of a young blonde girl that does not look like either of your two victims. Although she does remark, psychopath. I do have notes that she uses the psychopath. Yeah, so she walks the psychopath because it's between her university accommodation and her parents' place. So there is a reason for her to be in that area.
Oh, I don't know what's coincidence now and what's important. Thanks, JJ, that's a real help. Yeah, I owe you one too. It's going to be an expensive round tomorrow night, but it should be a good night.
All right, catch you later.
All the best. I hope you have a quiet shift. I'll catch you later.
Okay, and PC Lennox.
While we're whiling away the time, Lennox feels that forewarned is forearmed and would like to boot up the PC with Taggart on and see whether we can cross-reference the names Bill, Ben, and the young Leith team to see whether we've got any positive IDs on who these people might be.
So what I'm going to say to you is that you can spend your evening doing that, but it will mean you get no shut-eye at all, and it has been a very long day.
I suppose I can half-arse it, can I? Find half of it and half asleep. No worries if not.
Okay. I'll take a penalty die on the roll, and you can get some sleep.
What role would you like me to have?
This is a research.
Research roll. Penalty die. Oh, that is a 73 over 30. Nah.
There might be something there. You've thrown it into Taggart, but you get distracted by cat videos.
That's fair.
And so it rolls around. You wake up bleary-eyed, sipping coffee, sitting in the car. Where along the psychopath have you decided to attempt to intercept this ghost train? And how exactly are you planning on doing so?
Well, Isabelle was only half joking when she was referring to the railway children in red flannel petticoats. She's tried to get some red towels so we can try and wave them down, because goodness knows how old Bill and Ben are, given that they're Leith's associates, so probably not entirely human in any way, shape or form if they're driving a ghost train. So where do you think we should stop them? I'd try and stop them as soon as we can near the tunnel before they get too far into the park and frighten anybody else.
Well, if we're able to stop them in the tunnel, then we're probably doing Overwatch a bit of a service there, keeping this all a bit under wraps and that.
Outside the tunnel might be a lot safer.
We have the elements of surprise in the dark.
Lennox, about 3 meters into the tunnel is a giant locked fence, and you do have the key for it, but they are not allowed to be there. And technically, you need to fill in a quite comprehensive health and safety assessment if you are going to let them inside this tunnel. The main problems being mold, as well as the fact that it's not being properly maintained and there are no appropriate footpaths within it. So for them to go in there would be a pretty major breach of regulations.
Well, the first thing Lennox does is he hands you 2 very high-vis jackets, because if you're coming onto the tracks, you need to be wearing these high-vis jackets before we even think about health and safety anywhere else.
You see, Lennox, did you hear me just say about the elements of surprise? I feel like this is going against the grain a little bit,
Aye, sir, the element of surprise is all very well if you're alive. I'd much rather be alive and surprising than dead and surprising.
A lot more surprising people tend to be dead these days,
After what I've experienced these past 24 hours, I'm inclined to believe you, sir. But we do have these tunnels. I have authority to go into them, sir. I'm afraid you don't, but I think we could argue in a life and death situation. We could probably swing it a little. But I would need you to fill in some forms for me first, sir.
Oh, it sounds wonderful, that does. Forms, you say?
So why don't we just go 400, 600 yards up where the track used to be and stop the train there? Then there's no paperwork.
Right, yeah, I'm liking this idea now.
If I slot myself in the tunnel, though, I can probably airwave you when the train passes to give you some advance notice.
That's probably not going to work, Lennox, depending on how magical the train is.
That's a good point, Art. Save the high-vis, see what's coming.
If it was more than my job's worth, sir, to let you onto the track without any high-vis on. Now, what you put over top of your high-vis, that in itself is up to you, sir. But I've got to insist on you wearing the high-vis to start off with. Moderator, I believe last time we had a discussion about seeing whether I could get some generator-powered lights, particularly signalling lights.
I think surveillance as well, wasn't it? Like a security van is what we talked about.
Yes. Get a BTP CCTV van up there.
Yes, you wanted that for the abandoned bit of track. You're further up by the tunnel right now.
Fair enough.
You can have signal lights if you can explain to me why you want them.
Well, if we're trying to stop a train, then procedures are that we should signal the train properly. And as much as I love Isabelle's idea of the railway childrening it, I feel that something a little bit more official is probably more likely to be effective, especially in the dark. Then again, if we're dealing with a criminal element, how do we know that they're going to follow proper track procedure?
Do you have a train-based skill on your character sheet?
So I have the knowledge Scotland's railway networks.
Right. Can you roll me a knowledge check to determine if you could find some such thing at 4 a.m.?
That's actually an advantage rather than a skill.
Roll me a social skill, as what you're actually trying to do is convince the transport police to loan you these things.
Absolutely can do. That is a 64 over 30, which is a failure. Is it worth burning all my luck to get these? That would leave me with 5 luck if I did that.
Oh.
100%.
I'm happy to invite you to push this roll.
Okay, I will push the roll.
Let me explain something to you. If you walk up to the British Transport Police and say, there is a ghost train on my abandoned line and I need signalling lights in order to convince them to stop, there is a good chance that you're going to get transferred to work in special circumstances. So that is the risk you are presently having with this role. There is a career consequence for pushing this role.
Oh. But you know what? I think we're doing things by the book here. Lennox wants to do things by the book. And by the book means signalling lights. Pushing the roll. That is 30 on 30. Just.
Ooh, jammy.
That is a good roll. You have an argument with your direct superior.
That is Sergeant Berwick.
You have an argument with Sergeant Berwick at 2 a.m. And Sergeant Berwick shouts at you quite a lot and hangs up the phone. And so you make the utterly unbelievable call of calling up Captain
Scarlet?
Mackenzie.
Captain Mackenzie.
And you are just the luckiest man on earth because Captain Mackenzie happens to know Rhodri Cadwallader. And he goes, "What's that old bastard doing up here? All right then. Yeah, you get him his signal lights. You have my permission, you can use my name." And that opens the door. You get a small carriage delivered on the back of a British Transport Police van, which you can pull down and has a small battery attached to it, so you can get these signal lights up just at the exit to this tunnel.
Fantastic. Thank you, Captain. I'll do you proud there, sir. And I move the van into position there. And as always, these signal lights come with probably about a 50-page booklet on different signalling patterns, and I will hand this to DC Wood. Before we use this, I'll ask you to have a read through this, Isabelle. It's a bit of light reading for you, this.
I think you press that button there, don't you?
Sir, let the experts deal with this. We don't want any unfortunate accidents.
Rhodri has pressed a button and now the signalling lights are signalling that they can speed up.
See that? You just press that button there.
No, sir. Let me in. I think we're going to push the button so we can have slow down, be prepared to stop.
Hedge, before we steam forward, pun intended, and before I get all of us killed, I was hoping to have sent a message during the evening of last night, if that's okay.
Tell me more.
Essentially, I wanted to get a message to my very good friend, the Fox, who I was hoping would pass it on to the Penguin, who happens to be able to catch the seal. Just wanted to write stroke of a pen, ? And I've left a couple of biscuits out on a plate for the Fox.
So you're asking Union Canal to give you any information you can on the stroke of a pen?
Yeah, I'm not giving any other information about it. Just, I think within these circles that would possibly come across as a relatively normal request. Something that might just come up with nothing. Something that might come up with something else. Something that might come up with all the secrets of the campaign.
You're not going to get a response this evening, obviously, but let's try and keep it in mind and get you a nice solid response to that at the end of this episode or potentially the start of the next one.
And Union's the Penguin, isn't it?
Union is the Penguin. Well, Cadwallader thinks that Union is the Penguin. You have not done any more discussion on that point or investigated it.
Excellent.
I don't even know if Isabelle knows about the Penguin and the Fox and the seal.
I may have mentioned it in front of Isabelle, but whether Isabelle thought I was talking in metaphors or code names for people, who knows?
I look forward to explaining to you all why that is at another time.
Right then.
It is just gone 4 a.m. It is 4:02 a.m. Rhodri is fast asleep underneath the signal box. Isabelle is dozing on your shoulder, Lennox. It is cold and a little bit windy. You have been keeping yourself awake by rereading this fascinating book on signaling and how it all works. It really is incredibly clever how they've managed to get so many signals into so few combinations. You've been really impressed by the really efficient work of British transport engineers. And that's when you hear it. Just the faintest sound of an old steam engine, and it makes you feel wonderful. Lennox, your disadvantage, how does it affect... Can you explain your disadvantage to our listeners, please?
So, my disadvantage is that I am iron-blooded. I've got a lot of hemoglobin in me, and the demi-monde don't like that.
There is something undefinable about this character that certain Fae beings, Genii Locorum, unicorns, and the High Fae, detest. This character cannot forge friendships with the aforementioned Fae and has real difficulty striking a deal with them. They also incur a penalty die on all social skill rolls when dealing with anyone who is vulnerable to cold iron. That might come into play in a moment. Give me a power roll. You want a hard success here.
That is a 51 over 30, which is a failure.
Please mark impaired on your character sheet. You are dazed, you don't know what's going on, but you are amazed by what you see in front of you. You are just so in love with this most beautiful, amazing steam train, and you are staring at it, and you step out onto the line. Isabelle and Rhodri, can you both give me observation rolls here? Because you're both just a little bit tired.
Oh, my best skill.
12 under 60.
47 out of 30, so that's a no.
Rhodri, it is you that wakes to note that Lennox has stepped out. You hear the ghost train approaching. They are staring at it with a blank face, and the train is approaching.
How close can I judge the distance between me and PC Lennox Gyle and the train and the speed? Who's going to get there first?
There is the exact amount of time you'd need to do something heroic.
I am going to use a spell. I'm going to use Impello Palma to push PC Lennox Gyle off the other side of the track, so push him out of the way, almost instinctively.
Beautiful. Have you mastered Impello?
No.
Well, in that case, it'll be a magic roll.
Because I could use Fireball instead. Okay, here we go. 7. I roll so well in Rivers of London. Like when we play Call of Cthulhu, I roll like an absolute noodle.
like a man who can lose 20 points of sanity in a single round.
Exactly. It's Rhodri, it's not me.
You knock Lennox flying as this train comes flying towards you. But as it sees those signal lights, you hear a screech. Which, of course, wakes Isabelle, who is suddenly realizing that there is a ghost train flying by. Can you both give me power rolls as you see it?
Ideally, I've aimed, if it's okay with that 7, I've aimed Lennox to like a bush, something that I think will help with the fall.
Yes.
That's a regular success, 54 out of 60.
I've got 84 over 70 for power.
So, Rhodri, it's the march of progress. When you were a boy, what was the memory regarding a train that has stayed with you all this time?
Go down on there. Have a little tiny train. There was this lovely old chap named William, and he's there cross-legged, and you'd be able to sit on the back, for a few pennies, and you'd be up and down the pier. That was on this little train. Well, like as a child, that's being on a train. Once he actually let me sit at the front and let me wear his hat.
And it's that memory that overwhelms you as you're staring at this train as it comes flying out from the bridge and screeches to a stop. Isabelle, you wake to see Lennox be knocked to the side and not be run down by the train. But then Rhodri just sort of freezes in place, staring at this thing. It is enticing to sit and try and reminisce on trains. But I think you're just not as interested in trains as Rhodri is.
Tractors and horses. She was raised on a farm. She's not really all that bothered about trains.
So it's you to act as the train begins slowing down as it passes. It's one of these old steam engines. There are definitively 2 slightly sparkly looking gentlemen at the front of the train as it begins slowing down. And they look towards you as they pass, and it begins slowing as they quickly and immediately begin reversing the decision and trying to throw the train back into gear. But the brake is already pulling it to slow down. So you have an opportunity here to leap aboard this train if you so wish.
Right. I will do that.
Excellent.
Athletics?
Yes.
Okay. 34 out of 60, so that's a regular success, and I'm quite happy to spend the 4 points of luck to make that hard if I need to.
You're going to jump onto one of the carriages, but if you spend that hard luck, I will let you jump on to this train platform with, what's it called to do the front bit?
The footplate.
I will do that. I will spend my 4 points of luck to get a hard success so I can leap onto the footplate.
You leap onto the footplate, and there are 2 men, both of whom turn and smile at you, and they have sharp teeth in their mouths.
Lovely. Good evening, gentlemen. Would you mind bringing this train to a halt, please? His Majesty's Police have some questions they'd like to ask you in relationship to the death of 2 women in this vicinity over the last 2 nights. By the way, we know your boss.
They look at each other. They look at you. And then the 2 of them just start bolting off the footplate and running back down the train, away from you.
Why do they always run? Okay, let's just follow them.
I'm going to say that one of them is running along the top of the carriage, because I like it when people run along the top of carriages, and the other one is running down the side of the train. Which one do you chase?
Down the side of the train, because I'm not an idiot.
Excellent. Rhodri, there is a man running along the carriages above you. You come to your senses, see this man. He looks like some kind of elvenish creature, and he's running along the top of the train, and he's heading back
you
towards
bloody
the tunnel.
stop there, you little bugger. I'm going to crack on.
Excellent. So, Isabelle, you have not even finished the thought, I'm not an idiot, I'm not chasing them across carriages, when you see Cadwallader get up there and begin chasing him along the carriages. Can you both give me athletics rolls here?
Failed. I have a 91 over 30.
51 out of 60.
Rhodri, turns out leaping from carriage to carriage on a train is pretty dangerous work. You're going to take 1 hit point of damage and you are hurt. Isabelle, you managed to chase down who you have decided is Bill, although you're not entirely sure, into the tunnel as he disappears. There's this very heavily locked gate in front of you. It looks very heavily reinforced. Lennox has done his job. And so it is surprising to you when you realise that one of the metal pieces at the very edge where the stonework meets the metal has just been pulled to one side, and he literally dives through it like a parkour diving roll and easily manages to clear and get through this gate. What do you do?
Is there any way that I can get through there?
You could attempt either the same maneuver or a simpler version of the maneuver, depending on how wild you're feeling.
She's going to go for a simpler version, because if she hurts herself, she's never going to catch him.
Okay. I'll give you, therefore, a bonus die on this athletics roll, although you will lose a little bit of time here.
That's okay. Thank you for the bonus die, because otherwise that would have been an 86 out of 60. But with the bonus die, it's now a 36 out of 60.
Excellent. I'm going to just hand away from you for a second as you chase Bill down into this darkened corridor, your flashlight coming on as you just try and keep track as you head into the blackness. Rhodri, the one that you're chasing, who we will label Ben for the purposes of simplicity, is now scaling the side of this bridge. So instead of going into the tunnel, he is now climbing straight up the wall above you, appearing to be disappearing into Edinburgh. What do you do?
What do I do? I'm tempted to use my magic again and push him off the bloody wall.
Give it a go. He's not high enough off that would be particularly damaging.
But if I pushed him off the wall to whatever degree, it's more about that I can kind of catch up to him.
You are in a very chaotic situation here. Are you using Impello again?
How far away from him am I?
You are losing him because you failed your first roll, so you're fairly far away. So if you used Impello, you'd be at a penalty die. But if you use your mastered fireball, even if you were simply trying to knock him off, you would have a regular roll.
Can I use it as like a warning shot to hit above him? So the fireball as a warning shot.
You can certainly try. There's obviously repercussions if that goes badly.
Magic 60. Yes, I got 41. Just a normal success.
Your aim is a little off. You do hit him in the arm, and his arm is on fire, but that does knock him off down into the grass below, and you are able to catch up to him. His arm is on fire.
I'll go up to him and, I suppose, take off my jacket and start kind of like...
He tries to punch you in the face. Give me a fighting brawl.
Son of a dilly.
We have just set him on fire.
Well, I also wasn't driving a very dangerous machine.
Without a license, I'm sure.
That was my first thought. What am I rolling here, sorry?
Fighting.
Oh, sorry, there you go. No, 42 over 30.
You get punched in the face. You are now bloodied.
Oh, son of a... I'm going to pull another fireball out and then hold it in my hand and point at him with my other finger and go, right, you little bloody bastard, you stay right there, otherwise you'll get one of these in the bloody face, you will.
All right, let's take the magic. It will be a straight roll again because you are distinctly distracted here. You're the definition of distracted.
25 under 60, so under a half.
Right. And give me a luck roll.
Okay. 17 under 62. No, sorry, it's 41, my current. So 17 under 41.
So he puts his hands up. A little bit of fear comes into his eyes. He doesn't speak, but he kind of opens his eyes and he opens his mouth and he goes from aggressive to slightly scared.
Right. We're just going to have a chat, you know. But all this running away and that, it's not bloody good for anybody, you know.
His head turns slightly as he stares at you with his slightly childish eyes.
I think you're going to sit down, young man. And I'm thinking now, I've kind of seen this childish streak in him, so I'm going to try and talk a little bit like a teacher or not like a parent. I'm going to kind of go for the, right, you're going to calm down right now and you're going to sit down and we're going to talk about this, you know?
You have some experience with elves before, and so you'll recognize the traits and the style. You've probably met Molly, so you've seen these creatures before. And you're very aware that they can't talk.
Right. Are you going to calm down now, are you? You can nod.
Nods slowly.
Right then. Are we going to sit down and have a little communication between us, are we now?
He sits down, cross-legged on the ground,
Right then.
staring at you intensely and waiting.
I thought you said eating then. I was like, oh my God, am I being eaten? Rhodri sits opposite him, cross-legged, and he kind of just holds this fireball in his hands if he's able to maintain it.
It floats between the two of you.
Perfect. Almost wear-light styley, but fireball. More threatening.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, am I right in thinking that you and the other one, you're Bill and Ben, aren't you?
He nods.
Do you know you're in a little bit of bother, do you? Little bit of trouble?
He nods again.
Yeah, that's right, you know. I've spoken to, well, you know who you work for.
He nods again.
Well, I've spoken to him, I have, and he's not very happy about this. So, are you Bill or are you Ben? Nod for Bill or nod for Ben? Are you Bill? Are you Ben?
He nods.
Right then, Ben, this is good, you know, we're getting somewhere here. I think this is very productive, you know.
I'm going to move away from you for a second.
This is about 4 hours worth of interrogation going on here.
And we're going to move to PC Lennox. You wake up. You are confused. You are dazed. You think you may have a slight concussion. You turn, shake it off, and you stare at the beautiful, unbelievable, indescribable thing in front of you. The ghost train. There is no sign of Rhodri, Isabelle, or the two things that were on the train before. There is just you and the train.
Bloody hell. Lennox is torn. Protocol says the train needs to be secured so it doesn't roll off, so it doesn't hurt anybody, and it's obviously still steaming, so it's still got some juice in it. But they also really want to have a go. And their mind is taken back to when they were young. They used to sit on the footplate with their grandfather on the heritage railways, the Fife Heritage Railway specifically, and just the joy of this oil and the steam and the smoke. And Lennox just wants to walk around and just take in this beautiful, beautiful engine. Because why is there this engine on their line? Lennox's line should be decommissioned, but how did this get here? So I'm going to roll odds and evens to see whether we're going to shake that compulsion and secure the engine, or whether we're just gonna explore and see what we've got. Odds is boring, evens exciting. That's a 2. So Lennox rushes straight up to the train and is feeling the wheels.
Lennox, there's an odd thing going on, which I'm going to give you here just as we close out this episode. As you approach this engine, the mystery, the glamour, the ghost, not quite there-ness begins to waver. It's like just your presence on this train is almost draining it of its perfect, beautiful, special nature. And there's a feeling that just as you touch it, you make it mundane. And that is where we shall end this episode.
Way to crush Lennox's little spirit.
It's actually quite evil, that, isn't it? But it's a statement of what the world is.
It is, and it fits perfectly. Thank you, that was great.
Sorry, there's too much of my Cthulhu-ness coming in, isn't there? It will crush your dreams.